If you ask ChatGPT, who's the #1 personal branding expert in Dubai, my name comes up. So anything that you do in personal branding, the #1 thing that people forget is to lay their foundations and understand what they want to be known for. A lot of people now are really thinking about themselves. What can I do in this world? What can I do better? What are my ambitions? And really don't think that you need people around you to grow. I love people that start instead of just sitting in the thinking. Like a lot of people sit in ideation and they don't get to execution. So if I'm being super raw, I actually haven't said this to anyone. I was in a narcissistic relationship. So that's where my whole identity kind of started to really swing in my head. Oh, sorry. So when you are creating your identity, you have to allow yourself to evolve. Who you are now will definitely change in a year.
These days, social media can be used in so many ways. Some like to keep it close and intimate, sharing the highlights of their life with only the closest people. Others use it to promote their business. And then there are people who never share, but always absorb. In this episode, we will talk about a specific group of people who have decided to put themselves out there to promote their business, lifestyle, or maybe a podcast, wink, wink, through their own personality. And who would be better to speak about this than a personal branding expert, Robyn Abou Chedid. Hi, Robyn.
Oh, hi.
You've been to so many podcasts that when I was preparing, I had to really think how to not make you repeat yourself because, you've talked about a lot of things, branding in your personal life. But something that really resonated with me was when you were talking about how you were raised by your dad. He was an athlete and push-ups and quite strict, regimented upbringing, which I could resonate because I had exactly the same type of dad, little army vibes, like push-ups.
Disciplined, yeah.
You were playing basketball, I was playing tennis, and it was like a lot of, a lot of structure. Can you talk about what effect it had on you because of that type of way your dad raised you?
Okay, yeah. So that's so interesting that you had the same and it resonated, and I feel like that must resonate with a lot of people, especially that grew up with a lot of sports. So my dad, who played basketball for Lebanon and instilled those discipline elements. So the push-ups were total punishment. So I absolutely hate push-ups right now, but I was doing like 100. So it wasn't just like do one push-up. It was like 100 push-ups. It was laps around our backyard. We grew up countryside in Australia. So it was like run around, like get it done, because that there's, if you do something wrong, this is the outcome of it.
Interesting. When I wanted to go to a party, my dad said no. And I said, what if I do 50 push-ups? And he'd be like, right, okay. Because I usually did 10 to 20.
Yeah.
And I was so determined to go to that party that I did all those 50 push-ups. So he said, now you can go.
Oh, you negotiated.
I was like, what can I do? And I knew that he values that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to do it. And, but that tells me something about a person like you, for example, because I feel like when, fathers raise their children, but specifically daughters, I think it kind of makes them very resilient and makes them very strong, not strong, but mentally and physically they can carry more than I think some other people might not, or women might not. Can you kind of agree with that?
So me and my sister were the first 2 children. Then my brother came third. So I think my father was, raising us like a little bit of, not necessarily men or masculine, but he didn't treat us different as though we were females or males. Yeah. So
I had 2 brothers and it was the same.
It was the same. So me and my sister, we grew up on massive discipline in everything that we did. It was study time. It was, turn off the TV. It was if he said not to do something, we didn't do something. And I guess, that came from his upbringing in Lebanon as well. So there were more harsh environments, right? Yeah. So they used to go to school and they used to get hit. So obviously,
yeah, it's the same. Well, my parents, witnessed Soviet Union, and there was a lot of physical discipline as well that they experienced. So like their strictness for them felt like softness compared to what they experienced, right?
But it did shape me in everything that I do, to be honest. It did shape me because I bring that into the corporate space of the corporate athlete in terms of discipline. So it's
Yeah.
a mindset thing. And also team player. I think that's a huge thing that people don't take in and really pay attention to. A lot of people now are really thinking about themselves. What can I do in this world? What can I do better? What are my ambitions? And really don't think that you need people around you to grow.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are operating in isolation, whereas just a huge team player.
Yeah. I would say, you know what? I played tennis, so it's quite of a, you're on your own on the court a lot of times. But I always longed for that team vibe that I guess basketball and other sports had. And so now when I started working, I loved being a part of the team. But it's kind of, you need to be on your own, but a part of the team, I guess, as well, right?
It's a bit of both. Yeah. You need to have, like in basketball, you still had your, whatever you were on the field.
Yeah.
Right. So you were assigned a certain player on the field. But part of that, to do that well, you had to be part of a bigger team. Yeah. I did play, I was a sprinter as well. I was a 100-meter sprinter. So I did do sports that were independent. But at the same time, it was like, you always have a coach, right? Yeah. There's always someone supporting you. I don't think people get to where they are without someone around them.
Yeah. Let's talk about your early years. You were talking about your mom and dad being Lebanese, but you were raised in Australia. How did that come about? And what was the situation there? And were you born there or were you?
I was born in Australia, but my sister was born in Lebanon. So my parents fled the war in the 80s. There was a civil war and they both fled to Australia. So at the time, a lot of the Christians fled Lebanon. So a lot of them went to Brazil, Canada, and Australia. That's why you'll see Lebanese Christians highly populated in Brazil at the time. So they went to Australia. And then part of this whole identity thing is my mum had a degree in marketing law. My dad was an economist. They went back to Australia and their degrees weren't recognized.
Oh, okay.
So they had to rebuild themselves. So I came from a family that had to rebuild themselves and do everything for their children.
Wow.
So that whole evolution of identity and who they are and, dad coming in from a huge representative of basketball in Australia, now going to Australia and not having that same environment is so difficult. Like I look back and I think it's the very selfish life these days. I mean, to give up everything, I don't think many people will do that. So they were very selfless.
But for safety, I guess, safety is a good reason to do
Very
it,
true.
right?
Yeah.
And how did they do it? So and it's, when you're in one place and you're recognized and people know who you are, that is another way how you carry yourself. When you move to a new place, all of a sudden no one knows who you are. Does that is there a hit on the ego or
100%.
I mean, you were young, but what would you
100%. I mean, anyone knows that anyone coming from Lebanon, there's pride always involved. But my dad said the moment that he knew he had to get out of Lebanon is when the hospital was being bombed when he was giving birth to my sister and he watched my mum cross the road with the child and my uncle. Yeah. So he was like, that moment for him was like, I need to get out of this country. He never forgot about it. Like he loved Lebanon, but I mean, that country, that poor country just hasn't caught a break, to be honest. It's just kind of been back-to-back nightmare, honestly. But the people that are coming out of it, the things that Lebanese build, the resilience that comes out of that country is amazing.
Absolutely. And I think there's such a fun nation and culture. I think one of the best clubs, especially in Middle East, with music and the way they celebrate is always so festive and, and slightly different than other Arab countries. But that's just the beautiful uniqueness about them, right?
They're cheery. I mean, they're going through hell, but they'll do it with a smile.
Yeah. And I saw on one of the posts you're saying that you often pause when someone asks where you're from. Are you Lebanese? Are you Australian? Is there still kind of confusion between these two worlds?
It's confusing. So I think people play it strategic sometimes, depending on who and when and people are asking. Like if I'm in Lebanon, I'm going to say I'm Lebanese because it just resonates with them more. I'm a local. We can relate. But when you say Australian, when I'm in Australia, it's people are like, oh, you're from here as well. And now I've been in Dubai for 13 years. So I'm like this lost child, to be honest, because I call Dubai my home. So I think a lot of people have this problem. And then you feel like you have to explain yourself. Where are you from? I'm just like, well, I was born in Australia, but my parents are Lebanese. Yeah. So I kind of am Lebanese, but now I live in Dubai. And I'm like,
That is a story of a lot of people in Dubai, I think. Like I have friends who have their parents came here, raised their kids. Sometimes parents met here. Like in my situation, I met my husband here. I'm Latvian, he's Irish. So I don't know what my kids are going to say, because at some point we're probably going to move from Dubai. So is Dubai going to be the home for them?
What do they usually say? What are they saying now?
Well, they kind of are saying Ireland, sometimes Latvian, but Ireland more, I think. But I think they're still, confused. Small, so they don't know. And do you speak language, for example? Like when you moved to Australia, your parents, were they really conscious of keeping that Lebanese culture with food, music, what you watch on TV, whatever language?
Yeah, culture was injected. Food for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a golden retriever for 18 years and all he ate was Lebanese food. Like there was no kibbles for him. It was Lebanese food. So for sure the culture was taken. In terms of language, they speak 3 languages. So Arabic, French and English. But we were speaking English. I can speak Arabic, but it's a little bit broken because I haven't practiced it.
Practice it, exactly.
But I understand it completely.
Yeah.
French I studied, but I just lost that completely.
Yeah, it depends what you practice, I guess, right?
Completely, yeah.
And okay, when you were growing up in Australia, so how was that? So did you always knew which direction you want to go? When you grew up, what are you going to be? Can you talk about that kind of path that led you to marketing? Or was there a different path and you kind of had to...
No, I love this story. That's why I'm smiling. I always wanted to be the physiotherapist of Kobe Bryant.
Oh.
So I was just on a mission that I knew that I was going to be his physiotherapist. That was a non-negotiable. Playing basketball in Australia, I was just so intertwined with the sport. I was sleeping with the basketball. I was just like dead set. This is my life. My uncle, he worked for L'Oreal. He was managing it across in Europe. So every year he used to come with boxes of makeup, lipstick, perfumes. If you know L'Oreal, they're huge on perks. So there was this one year where there was like multiple boxes that he brought with him to gift us. And I was like, oh, wow, what's going on? And he's like, oh, we ran a campaign where there was a teddy bear attached to the shampoo. And when the women went to purchase the shampoo, they had an emotional resonance with the teddy bear, which increased purchases. So I was like, oh, that's so interestingly and really wild. I want to do marketing. Whatever that was, I had no idea. So 10 minutes before university closed, the submissions, down went physiotherapy, up went marketing.
Wow.
So there was a moment. It was a moment. I would have had a complete different career path.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you would have met Kobe Bryant.
I would have met. I know. I actually got sad. So when he had passed away, a lot of my friends from Australia messaged me because they knew how intertwined I was with him.
Oh. Yeah. And was your expectations of what marketing is met, or basically what marketing was for you and is for you, was it close to what you expected it would be?
The consumer behavior side, yes. That was the interesting part. It's like, how are people making people purchase things? And what is marketing? No one knows really what the word is. So market a product. No one really understands it. But then you realize everyone's doing it. Companies are doing it. People are doing it. It's so important now every day. I mean, selling yourself is a thing. Yeah. When you go for an interview, you're selling yourself. You are marketing yourself. You're putting yourself on the market. You're putting yourself in the real world. You're putting yourself online. It's such a transferable skill that for me, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Everyone actually should be learning this. But it was the consumer behavior part in terms of the mindset. How do we
psychology.
Psychology, yes. I specialized in that. And that's what really got me into the people side of things.
It's interesting. I think when I had to go to uni, marketing was one of those buzzing directions to take, because people, I think, who didn't want to go, didn't like physics or math, they always was like, well, I want to do something creative, but I want to be able to earn some money when I finish school. Yeah. And then I think a lot of people went to PR, marketing, and then a lot of them dropped out because it's not creative, just, free flowing, enjoying life. It's actually still very structured, and, a lot of things are maybe not creative. They're very much, you need to be consistent, right?
There's a lot of elements in marketing. I mean, you've got the research side, you've got the online side, you've got the product development side, which is the huge part of it, which means the innovation team. Like, marketing is a massive support function for any company.
Totally. It feels so effortless, but it's usually marketing who does the effortless effect on things.
That's the thing. Everyone's like, oh, you just make things look pretty.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. That's what you see at the end.
Exactly.
But behind it, there's this whole strategy and thought process.
Totally, yeah. And talk about when did you move from Australia to Dubai, and when was that big change in your life, and what were the drivers there?
That really pushed me. So I didn't pick Dubai. Actually, Dubai chose me. I knew I wanted to do something out of my comfort. So Australia's amazing. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but it was too structured and too safe. And that's the country. That's what they create. I was like, I wanted to be around ambitious people. I really wanted to push myself, wanted to do something different. I didn't want to have that same pathway of just staying in the same ecosystem. So I knew I wanted to go overseas. I had told my parents at the time, I'm going to move overseas. I'm just not sure where. I wanted London or New York because that's where marketing was really at. That's where the forefront of advertising and campaigns were at. And then someone put Dubai in my mind. I was like, back then, 13 years ago, Dubai was like,
still up and coming.
Still raw. As raw as it gets, barely anything now that's happening. Yeah. And it was also a little bit intimidating because you felt like it was so closed off. It was very Islamic. You weren't sure. But then when you land in Dubai, you're like, gosh, it's just like a massive misconception.
Absolutely.
And because I knew the language and the culture and Lebanon was close, I was like, okay, let me give it a try. I ended up getting a job within a week and then they flew me over.
Oh, so you came without having a job. So you came and I
started to look for work. I didn't see anything, went back, and then someone called me and then flew me over. Yeah.
Oh, that was fast.
That was fast. Yeah. So back then, 13 years ago, I think that's when, the packages were bigger. People would fly people over, whereas it's just a complete game changer now.
Yeah. I mean, because there's so many people now here that are fighting for one position. So it's not as, I agree. I moved here 8 years ago and I actually found a job in a month. Yeah. And it was blessing from the sky, really, but it was the same. It was, I think then it started to pick up. I don't even know if it then started. I think it started picking up after COVID and after a lot of things happened around, Russia-Ukraine war and like war around where people just moved to Dubai because there's the space here was so supportive for businesses, right?
Yeah, they changed the licensing. It was huge. It's this huge vacuum. It's still happening.
Yeah,
Dubai is now the hotspot of the world.
Absolutely.
No doubt. So if you're already here and you're established and you have regional experience, you're way ahead.
Yeah, I agree. And can you talk about a little bit how you met your husband? What point was that? Was that quite early when you moved here or was that after a while?
No, that was after a while. And everyone says in Dubai, you'll never find love. It's
yes.
the place of just everyone turning over and churning over. No one takes it seriously.
Absolutely. Same thoughts. When I moved here, I was like, me and my friend were like, this is not a place. Everyone's just, like networking.
Completely. And everyone has a different identity coming here. I mean, the stuff people were doing here, I'm sure they wouldn't do back home.
Yeah.
So it was just like this pool of weirdness.
Absolutely.
So my husband, he found me. I would say he found me. I went to a Christmas, I'm like getting all choky because it's very romantic, but also at a period where I was losing my father. So that's why I might get a little bit emotional. So I went to a Christmas party. We had a mutual friend from Australia. I went to a Christmas party going in flustered after work because I had to work on Christmas Day. At the time, this region didn't really recognize Christmas. Now a lot of companies do. But I was just like, I can't believe I'm at work at Christmas. My friend's like, come over. I was walking in and then there's this guy just gawking at me. He's like, I was like, what is he doing? So he was just watching me coming in. Then he offered me a drink, a red wine. And that's why on our wedding day, red was one of the colors that we used because we met over red wine. So he was proper courting me, very gentleman-like, doing all the things, wanting to see me, catch up. So we were dating for a few months and then I broke it off because emotionally I wasn't there.
Okay. So
bless him. He saw that I was on social media. He knew in his head that he wanted to marry me. He tells me. So he's like, I know. So 8 months later, he just popped back in. And he's like, hey, do you want to go for breakfast? I'd love to see you. And I'm thinking, gosh, I thought like that was done.
Yeah.
So yeah, we came to see each other and I was still like in my head thinking, I'm not sure. And I'm sure like a lot of girls, you're just not sure.
You know what? With the right one, sometimes it feels like it's so easy that it must be not the right one.
So easy, yeah. I'm just like, why is this good guy so amazing? And I'm not sure when all the other crazy guys I'm putting so much energy into. Yeah. So yeah, he was like, he looked at me, he's like, you're not giving me a chance. And I remember the moment, he's like, just let me love you. Get off the fence and let me love you.
Oh, goosebumps. Oh,
I know, it was so the sweetest. And I looked at myself and I was like, oh my God, why am I behaving like this? And it was that moment where I switched. And then I was just like, it was just amazing since
Rest
then.
was history.
The rest was history.
And where is he from? Were you guys from the same
Culture? I never thought I'd be with a Lebanese. I always thought I'd end up with an Italian or something European or Spanish, and I live in Europe. But no, he was Lebanese. He was raised in Lebanon, but he lived in Australia for about 7-8 years.
Oh, okay, the same. So basically very similar upbringing. Okay, great. And I love that story. It makes me like, my body's still in like this.
Yeah. You know why? Because it's very self-reflective. And a lot of the damage we do as women, we do to ourselves. You know, we wait and wait when we think there's time. We're like, oh, I have time. I can wait. And then when you get older, you're like, I can't wait. And you put pressure on yourself. Yeah. And then you get more picky. It's just like, it's super weird and just, you know, you're self-destructive.
Yeah, and you know what? You know, you were talking about it, and again, I could resonate. It was the same. I moved to Dubai, and I was like, I feel like there's no one goes below surface level. Everyone's sort of like friendly, you know, networking. Everyone's sort of using each other in the best way, you know. Well, not in the best way, sometimes not in a good way, but it was one of those, like, you were single, and to be single was really great. And then there was a moment, me and my girlfriend, we were talking about, I guess once we want to get in real relationship, we have to move from Dubai, but it doesn't seem like that's a vibe for a majority of people. And, you know, very quickly after I met my husband, she met her husband. 7 years later, we're both sitting, we're like, well, we were wrong. You can if you're in the right time and space.
And if you allow it, I think if you accept it, because I'm sure people have met people that they're not allowing in. Like if my husband wasn't persistent, and I say that was super sexy for a guy to be very persistent and know what he wants. Yeah. That for me was just like, gosh.
You know what? And it's interesting as well how he knew something about you was, you know,
it's very romantic.
It's so romantic. Yeah. I remember me and my husband met one night out. The story is much longer, but he finally came over, and I think on the second minute, I don't know why I asked him. I was like, "What's your plan for the next 5 years?" Like, you know, like a job interview.
Tell me now.
And he was like,
"Am I in it?"
He was like, "I want to get married and I want to have kids." So I was like, "How many kids?" 2. I was like, okay, I was like, either that's a really good pickup line that you're using, or you're very honest. You know what? 5 years later, literally everything that he said he wanted, he did.
He manifested.
He did. And it was it's also a beautiful kind of moment in my life where something truly manifested, you know? All right, well, let's talk about marketing.
Okay.
And let's talk about specific personal marketing or personal branding of people. Because I think before, people use social media more as a, you know, way to journal their lives and, you know, some of their friends. And then whoever were, you know, those influencers seemed like, you know, just people in America or somewhere far, at least from where I was from. It wasn't something very usual to see people around trying to grow audience and stuff like that. Whereas now I feel like a lot of people are trying that. And I have so many questions about it because it's relevant for me, I guess, in a way. Can you talk about what's the difference between positioning and branding a company and an individual? Is there any difference between these two?
Yeah, the biggest difference is that humans are more dynamic, whereas a company, you could go in and plan for the next 2 to 5 years. And usually their plans are built on something that's futuristic because they want to continue revenue, income, profit, so forth. As a human, you might change your mind next week.
Yeah.
I want to do this. Maybe
you were single, now you're together.
Exactly.
Right.
Or, you know, someone might get divorced, or, you know, they're all of a sudden they're a mother, they change jobs, job titles, their identity changes. So you're more fluid as a human. So you do need to get a little bit more personal. So when I work with clients, I don't take on many because I'm very much intertwined in their life.
Yeah, that's interesting because with companies, you can set your goals and set what you stand for, right? And that's what it is. But with humans, there's so many facts and so many things that affect you. And what would your advice be? Should you change your brand? Or should the brand reflect you at all times? Or can brand reflect only a part of yourself?
Yeah, it's something that people get confused with a lot. So when you are creating your identity, you have to allow yourself to evolve. Who you are now will definitely change in a year. but you just need to understand who you are now and position yourself in that moment. So anything that you do in personal branding, the number one thing that people forget is to lay their foundations and understand what they want to be known for. Why are you putting yourself out there? It's why you are actually branding yourself. Have a purpose, then you get into sharing your voice. I say sharing your voice because people call it content creation, which is a bit overwhelming. They think content creation, they think TikToks, they think 5-year-olds dancing. I don't know.
Yeah, cat pictures. Yeah.
But so it's really about understanding what you want to be known for and why are you doing it. I had some people I worked with that's like, you know what, I'm quite successful. I want to go from success to significance. I've had some people be C-level titles all their life, well, majority of their life in their senior periods, that wanted to be an entrepreneur and they were really embarrassed around their circle. I have been this huge C-level and then now I'm going in to start my business from scratch. Who am I? So everyone has different things. Or some people don't have the skill set. They're like, okay, I want to get into tech now.
Yeah.
Am I a fraud because I want to get into tech? Can I do that? Does it make sense? So you have to always find a way. Why did you get into tech? Because there must be something that's linking you. Technology is a tool. You don't have to be an expert. You hire the experts, but you might be selling something on that platform that you're really good at.
Let's break it down. Let's take one platform and let's just break it down step by step of what it takes to actually become or have a presence or successful presence online. So let's, for example, say Instagram as a platform. And maybe the first is the mindset part that probably is the biggest, where you should spend the most time to kind of. And this is where you were talking about psychology as well, where you really need to ask yourself, who am I? Like, who am I? Who do I stand for? Like, what are my values? And all these things. And sometimes people, I feel like, struggle. Well, when I say people, me, I'm like, I'm so many things. How do I,
come across as one? Yeah. But you can be so many things. That's the whole beauty about personal branding. That's why you see some people share some parts of their life that is irrelevant to maybe their objective, right? But it humanizes them.
Yeah.
When people share their family, it's amazing. I love it because I'm like, okay, you're human. You are juggling things. There's relevant information you can take from that and share it.
Yeah. And I think you were saying on one of the posts as well about authenticity and basically what you are as you are should be exactly what you are on online platforms. What about, because I'm wondering, Instagram and LinkedIn, they're kind of slightly different narratives, I guess, of your personality, right?
Correct.
How much should they merge, or should they merge at all, or should what would be the kind of strategic ways to position you in different platforms for different reasons?
Yes, there is a confusion. Do I repurpose my content? You have to think about how people consume the content on that platform. A lot of the people still on LinkedIn like business mindset posts. Yeah. It's nice to humanize it with family if it's relative. Yeah. So I actually love seeing mums sharing because they're bringing it back to the workplace and what they're doing. So if there's a way to make it relative, it's amazing. But you have to think about the person, how the person consumes it. Same with Instagram. Instagram now is just gone more into video, more into images, very kind of short mindset going into it. Yeah.
And I feel like in the last few years, the bite-sized wisdom videos have gone like crazy. Everyone shares them. Everyone starts a debate about, is this right? Is this not right? Like, that's also pretty cool because a lot of people can actually share whatever they've figured out in their life and see if it resonates with others, right?
Yeah. I mean, I love people that start instead of just sitting in the thinking. Like a lot of people sit in ideation and they don't get to execution. And they try and perfect it. Don't perfect it. You're going to learn while you're there. You're going to learn while you're there.
I was just talking with my friend. She was like, oh, you know what? I kind of like what you're doing. And she's like, I really would like to do it. But I'm such a perfectionist. I never start. And I'm like, I think there's this beautiful saying, I think in Google, someone said about better done than perfect, where, you kind of do it and then you polish as you go, right? Let's talk about one step back about the mindset, because a lot of people, there are many reasons why they don't start, or they feel like, oh, who's going to listen to me? Or like, what are people going to think? Yeah. Especially like people from my high school are going to think, they know me as this person. And now all of a sudden I'm positioning myself and there's a lot of doubt goes in, which therapy helped me to get over that. And all of a sudden I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm just going to do it. But what are the main struggles you've seen with your clients that go through just psychologically, they can't take that step, you know?
How they're perceived around their inner circle, which is a huge thing. I would say the most common thing amongst successful men. So the most common thing amongst successful men is how they are viewed around their inner circle. So
inner circle, like family or
inner
friends?
circle. I mean, they've got a tight inner circle of successful people, right?
Yeah.
So they get in their heads. So I always say, you know, you got to be brave enough, and it's not just men; it's everyone. But that was just one of the learnings that I saw working with people. But they're not brave enough. They are scared. But what people think. I'm like, well, what about you? What would you think if you didn't do it?
Yeah, and sometimes it's like you wonder what people will think, like people that you are not looking up to. Anyways, like, well, why would you care what they
Why would you care?
think? Yeah. But there is something, and I have a theory, my own, because there was a moment I was like, why am I so consumed by what specific people from my past that I don't even hang out with, like, and I don't even care like their advice or anything. And I almost feel like, you know, in school we really want to be accepted and be part of the group. And then part of us like gets stuck into that wanting to be accepted by these specific people. Yeah. You're like, I've moved countries. I haven't seen them for 15, 20 years. Like, why would I care? And it's so bizarre. And then you get over it and you're like, all right, well, that wasn't that.
It wasn't overall as bad as it is. Yeah. As humans, we all want to belong. So we all want to belong to something. And we need connection. I mean, we can't say go and do this and not think about everyone else. It's very normal. But that's why I always say you have to map it to an objective, and then it becomes easier. Like myself. I put myself online because if I'm not visible, people aren't going to find me and I can't help them.
And at what point actually you figured out that you need to position yourself? Because a lot of times experts are behind the scenes, like they help, you know, other businesses, celebrities, and what point you were like, actually, I have a knowledge that I need to put out there to be accessible. Was that very early when you started, or? So
I planted the keywords. The one thing that people don't do, they do not pay attention to search. So particular keywords people type to find you is so important. Marketing is going back to traditional marketing, and you have to have your keywords. If you go on my platform right now, it says personal branding Dubai. If you ask ChatGPT, who's the #1 personal branding expert in Dubai, my name comes up because of the keywords. So you have to tell the systems that you are who you are, not just live it in the real world.
Wow, like algorithm actually will pick it up.
It matters, and it matters now more with AI.
Yeah.
All of these big machines are feeding data off the internet. So that's why it's important to be present. Now, content allows you to share your story in a more creative way. And that's not easy for many. I still struggle between polished and raw. I'll be very honest. That's my biggest struggle, especially coming as a millennial. It's like, how do I keep it at par, you know, and compete with like these TikTok videos? Because I'm like, your camera's dirty, wipe it, your fonts aren't aligned. I get in my head all the time. So I think we all have these things. So it's like, how do we stop doing that and just find a way where we can meet halfway?
That's a good tip actually. Anyway, so at what point were you like on Instagram, I'm going for it?
I'm going for it. Interestingly, with Instagram, I used to be a massive fitness influencer. So that's how my following grew. I was sponsored by Muscle Tech, Fuel Up. I did bodybuilding for 3 years. Don't ask why. I was put into it. But I really got into that sport, and that's how I grew my following. And it was at a time where Instagram was kind of starting. I positioned myself in that space, and it was all around, how do you still be Lebanese, eat a lot, and accept your body for what it is?
I love that.
And be kind of, my Instagram used to be called Fit and Curvy. I don't think I've ever said that out loud, but that's what it was. It was called Fit and Curvy.
I love it.
Yeah. So that was my account in terms of positioning. So influencer back then, like you mentioned earlier, was you're actually influencing something. You're very specific. I was talking about all of these certain things. That was my channel to really push myself out there.
And did you start with a conscious decision? I want to earn money with this and be a brand, or was it like, you know, I'm just gonna try it, I feel like doing it, and let's just see where it goes and all that?
That's how it started. I think everyone was exploring the social media platforms at the moment. You didn't really think about money, and back then it was a lot of bartering and influencing. You can stay at this hotel, we'll send you this these meals and so forth. And then there was a point where I was in Thailand for 3 months, so just to backtrack to the story, I lived here 5 years, went back home, realized that, Melbourne in Australia wasn't for me. I then bought a one-way ticket to Thailand, stayed there for 3-4 months, and I lived off bartering in these amazing hotels. It was proper influencing, met other influencers. So that's when I really understood what Instagram was all about.
Wow.
So that was, I guess, at the moment where I was pretty much in the content creation space. And then Instagram just went wild with reels and videos. It just changed. It changed. And sometimes you feel overwhelmed, like you have to catch up, like you're not making as much content as the creators. But I go, everyone just needs to be realistic with their time.
Yeah.
And just post what you can.
And also like not feel under pressure that, someone's like waiting, like where's your post?
No. It's some people I work with, I'm like, just once a week is amazing.
There's so many directions I want to go now. So you went to Thailand. How very cool, like quickly. how first of all, like these are big decisions. How did you just like, I'm gonna do this? Was it like, I don't know if I can, or was it like, I'll give it a try? Are you a personality like that who can just like kind of start fresh?
There was a moment, so if I'm being super raw, I actually haven't said this to anyone, I was in a narcissistic relationship. So that
Let's have another episode about that. We can relate there too.
I'm trying not to tear on this, I'm into it. But I was in a narcissistic relationship and I was living in Dubai those first 5 years and I had to get out, I had to leave. So that's where my whole identity kind of started to really swing in my head. Oh, sorry.
I love that.
So I went back home. I was there for a year just to kind of reestablish myself and my mindset, what I wanted to do. And I was like, is Australia for me? Is it not? I said, I'm going to give it a year. Like I have to be reasonable because I was just coming out of the breakup. And I would say breakup, I escaped. I would say I escaped, which is like I said, it's a whole nother story in itself. I escaped. So I stayed in Australia for a year and then I was like, Australia is not for me. There was a moment where I just knew I wasn't going to be here. Was Dubai my next move? Not necessarily. Thailand felt like a space where I could just relax. That was the reason I went to Thailand. I knew someone that was there, had a couple of friends there, was there for 3 months. And then Emar reached out to me when I was in Thailand, interviewed me and offered me a job and I didn't even apply for it. It's like, it was maybe God sent. So they were like, can you start in a week? And I'm like,
wow.
I'm like, what? I only have a bag of bikinis. I'm just going to ship my luggage in parallel from Australia. So that's when I came back. Yeah, came back to Dubai.
Now, again and again and again, I see people who have really hard period of time that almost breaks them, and then something great happens afterwards. There is some like, I was going through similar situation, and I was like, oh my God, this is my life. This is terrible. But then I guess it's like full of lessons. And if you do take those lessons in account, they transform your life afterwards. And I know people who don't make these lessons and keep going to the same and the same.
They're stuck in the cycle. I'm glad you go out as well. Like, sorry, I
moved to Dubai.
Triggering.
One of my reasons, I felt it's like my whole right leg was like numb from goosebumps because I was like, part of very small reason, well, I will say small, but it was another reason to move to Dubai was to get away from certain people that you were kind of off already, but they keep on like circling into your life and you're trying to get out, and especially if you're from a small country, then it's more difficult to avoid them. And moving to Dubai in that lens was the best thing I could have done. Actually, it really kind of changed me because new environments, new people also change you as a personality, right?
Yeah, it helps a lot. I remember when I left, there's a self-reflection, right? I was like, who am I? Like I had stopped working. I wasn't generating income. I don't know what happened. I looked at myself. I'm like, who are you? And when I left Dubai, I had 2,000 dirhams to my account, which is embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
How old are you?
I was 30. That's embarrassing.
Well, it happens. It happens in any time. Yeah.
It's changed now, but it was embarrassing at the time. So I was like, how did you let that happen? Because when you're in your early 20s, you have these visions of when you're 30 to be married with kids and all this stuff. And here I was making a decision where I had to reset my whole life, go back home and just like figure out who I am and what I want to do. So, I mean, I love that my family. I was very lucky. I have a very loving family, and I think that really helps a lot. My friends and family.
Absolutely. And these really hard times, especially in the relationship, at least for me, one of the biggest lessons was to learn to have boundaries and it's weirdly positioned. I feel like I had no idea who I am, and therefore I allowed people to do things that I didn't think was right. But then I was like, well, maybe that's how people do it. And you're questioning everything. And then you're thinking, am I crazy? Is this, am I? And part of it is not being aligned with yourself, at least for me, where I was like, not understanding what was going on. And only in hindsight later, I was like, oh my God, that situation was teaching me boundaries, teaching me to really know who I am, so that when someone's treating me like that, I can very clearly say, bye.
Yeah.
But then it's so difficult because you want to be the good person and the bigger person and all that.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
Oh, we took a little detour there.
Yeah, but that's how Girl Named Robyn started. So when I was rebranding myself and I was figuring out what should I call myself, I was like, well, I'm just a girl named Robyn.
And I wanted to say how interesting your personal story talks about brand that evolves and changes and moves directions and maybe is relevant to different groups of people, and it's okay, right?
It's completely okay. So now when I've established what I want to be doing and it's mapped to an objective, and this also generates me income, right? So there is a drive and it's more strategic, but I'm also enjoying it. I'm so myself. I'm completely myself. So I would say I found my rhythm, but it's okay for you to kind of be in the transition. A lot of people feel like they can't put themselves out there if they're still figuring it out.
And I wanted to ask you about that as well. So we were talking about the mindset, how to get over yourself really, and just start if you feel like that's for you. I have a lot of people around me who started small businesses or started, consultation on, feng shui or psychology or whatever it is. And I've seen them putting themselves out there and they're reaching small groups of people. What is the next, what does it take? And maybe it's a more technical question. What does it take to position yourself so that you reach bigger audiences? Should you boost your content? Is it collaborations always? Well, what should be the best to kind of actually grow? Because a lot of times it feels like it's a circle, but it's a relatively small circle and they can't get out of that
loop.
Yeah.
Okay. Two things. The one that I find is the best and the quickest one is through association and collaboration. So if you can really, not necessarily say leverage because that sounds opportunistic, but if you can partner with other people, then you've also got their audiences in a more subtle way.
Yeah.
The other one are reels. Yeah. If I could get rid of followers on every platform, it doesn't matter anymore. Because the algorithm is pushing your content to non-followers.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. So you need to be accessible to non-followers.
Non-followers is what is really going, because you're already talking to your followers for ages, right? If you're really thinking conversion-wise.
Yeah.
So you have to think of non-followers, and you do that through association through other people because they have people that aren't following you, and then reels.
Do you think it matters how professional your content is? Should it be like aesthetically beautiful or is it all like authenticity, or is there these elements of that just technically looks better?
Going back to like me trying to balance that. I think on LinkedIn there needs to be LinkedIn isn't accepting anyone that goes outside of the parameters of professional. They just aren't. They're actually complaining. People are saying it's becoming Facebook.
Okay, yeah.
They're not enjoying it. People are posting less, and all these content creators are just everywhere because they're really good at creating content, but they're not experienced. So they're just breaking systems. Okay. They understand the system. They understand the algorithm. They know how to do a really good hook that makes you read more. It's tactical. But if you actually go and speak to them in real life, a lot of them aren't knowledgeable because they're just talking about how the system works. Yeah. But they don't have real life experiences of businesses and people and networking. Yeah. Whereas all of these super talented, experienced people are getting fed up with the systems and mute.
And it's interesting. I've also noticed that there's this really old saying about how oftentimes the very smart people doubt themselves the most. And also when it comes to this, that they want to, and you've talked about it, that people don't want to show off and they look at it as showing off. And I was thinking how exactly like you said, is how many people are like, I'd love to, but I don't want to look like I'm egocentric, that I'm very much about myself. And you talk about accessibility. Right?
Yeah, because a lot of people are sharing look at me content instead of learn from me content. So that's why people are getting their heads thinking this whole, branding versus bragging.
Yeah.
How do we get out of that? I'm not talking about myself, but wait, you're talking about your experience. You have to talk about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to.
But then again, it's interesting that very self-centered, selfie-driven like influencers have huge following. And I sometimes I go on an account and I'm like, selfie, 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 selfie. And I'm like, why these people? And there's like hundreds of likes. And I'm like, well, I guess maybe people enjoy or basically accept the beauty of what that person has put in. But it's a very popular thing, right?
It's visual. People are also attracted to beauty. It's normal. We walk down the street, we see someone beautiful. There's an attraction. We have an energy. There's also a sexual energy. It's very normal. So if you see a beautiful face or something that's beautifully put, or you walk into a beautiful hotel, it's beautiful because everything's aligned. There's space. It's nice. It's comforting. So a lot of people like to reflect on themselves when they see something beautiful and they like it. That's also the dangers of social media, because it turns into you analyzing yourself and becoming very critical.
And comparing, right?
Massive comparison. So I always say, if you ever get into that mindset, unfollow anyone that's creating that environment, and don't actually view any people's stories. Get into, for the next month, I'm just producing content. I'm not consuming content.
Oh, that's so good. That is exactly how I felt probably 6 months ago. I was like, I feel like I'm so much in this consuming. I'm just consuming, and I would love to create. And that is a completely different, fulfillment when you do something and you put out from yourself, right? Oh, yeah, that's so good. Okay, so would you say people can do it themselves, or would you say it's better, because it's always about money? Can you afford to have someone who can help you with all of this? What do you think realistically, if people want to be successful and they're going for it, right? Can they do it themselves?
I look at it like a sport. You can figure out the sport, you can learn how to play it, but if you want to level up, you're going to hire a coach. You're going to hire someone that's going to teach you the foundational elements. You're going to hire someone that's going to teach you how to do things better. You're going to hire someone to assess things differently to yourself. So I would always say, of course, try. I wouldn't say I'll go and pay straight away, for sure. Try and figure it out yourself. But if you do get stuck at a point, then of course you need to go to the coach. If you can afford it, definitely go to the coach first. Definitely.
You look at it as an investment rather than expense, right?
It's an investment. That's why I offer it, because gosh, I wish I had that. God, I wish I had. There's a lot of content online. It's not difficult to find content on it, but that's like anything. I mean, I watched so many makeup tutorials and I still couldn't get it right. I still had to hire professional makeup artists to teach me how to use my products at home, because I still couldn't get it right.
Yeah, and that's you can work out at home as well, but it's just different when you go to gym, because there's exactly. Yeah, it kind of gives you a little bit more structure as well when it comes to
structure. So I always say, I always want to set people up. I would say I want you to enjoy it. Eventually, while I'm working with people, I want you to post your own things. It shouldn't be all followed and me telling you what to post. No, you should start enjoying it and understanding it, so that it's your personal brand. And living it. Yeah.
And I think AI is kind of helping now with a lot of things as well, for people to kind of, polish their texts and come up with ideas and all of that, right? But then I think at the end of the day, it's not the professional help that you need from a person. It's just a generalized approach, right?
Yeah, it helps you. Look, some people don't know how to communicate as well, and they need support telling the story. But the biggest thing is, what story am I going to be telling? That's where the issue lies most of the time. So AI is fantastic for helping you structure, but it's not going to replace your experience.
So it goes back to what you said. You need to know what you stand for.
Yeah, why are you doing it?
What the story you want to even tell to people, right? Let's talk a little bit about monetization, or should people establish at the beginning the reasons why they're doing it? Is it to earn money? Is it to put their own products? Is it to work with brands? What are the main categories your clients, how do they earn money from social media?
It's very different for each person. So that's why I always kind of go down the discovery of figuring out what's your purpose. and what do you want to map it against?
Yeah.
So there are some CEOs that I work with that work with corporate brands, so it supports elevating the corporate brand. Some people that are obviously entrepreneurs, of course you want it to drive to sales, but personal branding is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a long game. You have to show your personality. You have to put yourself out there.
Yeah, because I was thinking as well, when it gets real or when it gets more professional and people actually start earning money with that, there's probably also a few questions that arise when that happens, like, because you need to then, your brand needs to be aligned with the other brand, right? So if you stand for, if you have activism on something, organic lifestyle, and all of a sudden, I don't know, a makeup company reach out to you, or, there is a conversation. They say, well, we'll work with you, but you need to get rid of your organic because we're not organic, for example. So it's like, how much do you do for money? And like,
it's a personal choice. I mean, I don't take on anything that would reflect negatively on my brand because it's not me.
Yeah.
It's not me.
And you said something else on one of the posts, which I loved, was reputation will outlast jobs that we do, I think, or job positions. And
your title, your job title.
A title or reputation or something like that. And that kind of, I feel like, applies to as well, that your reputation will go longer than collaborations with people that, or brands that don't align. Right?
Yeah, that's true. So there's the reputation will outlast your job title.
Yeah,
because your identity will change usually around job titles, right? And that could be an entrepreneur of something, that could be a job title within a corporation.
Yeah.
But who you are and how you treat people and what you make people feel after they spend time with you is so important. So a lot of people think personal branding is online only. It's not. It's how you show up in the real world as well. You just need to map it.
Yeah. And a lot of people talk about, I'm a person of integrity and all these big words, but that's actually just a test of time.
Yeah, that's
when you actually see if that person has integrity in certain situations, right? And I guess that's a part of reputation as well. One quick question: when you were saying, that you were first in bodybuilding and fitness, and then other things, when you figured out that you're going to be personal branding expert, did you get rid of the old self posts? Because I was thinking as well, I was like, I want to do something, and I was like, oh my god, I have posts from 2011 when I'm like literally still in uni or before uni, and some of them are not aligning with who I am now right now. But what do you think?
Did I I cleaned up my Instagram.
Okay, I should do that.
I cleaned up my Instagram because people will go on social proof and vet, and obviously the fitness industry, especially in bodybuilding, it was bikinis on stage, and it was obviously
that makes
cultural
sense.
sensitive as well.
Okay.
But I still post selfies at the gym. It's still a very big part of my life. But my identity changed. I was very big in tech. I was a tech girl, huge tech girl. Everything was technology. But that's not my forefront anymore because that's not my purpose. My purpose now is really going towards personal branding. And that shift happened after COVID. Everyone had an identity crisis, wasn't sure what they were doing. Why am I working for that crazy boss? Why haven't I started my side hustle? The market started demanding it, and I shifted completely in it.
Yeah. That's a good point. I'm just thinking about which picture should I delete now? What have I, it's like parties. And that's the thing, like now, right now I'm a mother of two, I'm a wife and all that. And then there's pictures of me, partying, having fun and all that.
Party is nice. No, I leave my party pictures.
Parties as well, yeah.
It's real. I hate people that are like...
all of a sudden very polished, like I've never done anything bad,
Just sit on my desk on my high horse. Party things are nice, but if it maps what you're doing, which it shows you holistic, right?
Yeah, and also what you just said, the fitness doesn't go anywhere, but your focus is not on fitness that much, but it's still figures
part of my
around.
Life. Yeah, technology I still use. I'm working a lot of tech projects right now, but it's just not at the forefront of what I'm doing. But a lot of my clients, I have a client at Oracle that I work with, and a lot of that synergy came from, I do tech as well, or real estate when I was in real estate. So it's still part of me, but it's not at the forefront.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I have so many more questions. I'll end with one question that I ask every guest. Can you think of a situation in your life? To be honest, you already shared quite a bit, but a situation in your life that changed your mindset. You were thinking of something in one way, something happened, and it changed the way you see it.
Okay, a moment. So a moment would be a book I read, Think Again, by Adam Grant. I thought I was multi-perspective until I read that book. he talks about perspective so much and how to really understand other people's thoughts and what they're thinking and what they're doing and how to really resonate with people a lot more. So his book changed me.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Perspectives. There's so many different perspectives, right? And like I love social anthropology as well, where it's like, you know, cultural, national, all these aspects that makes us make decisions, right?
Yeah. So that was a huge one. What you're saying versus what people hear. How did it land with you? That masculine, feminine energy, all of that. That book changed me. And now I apply that in everything I do.
Can you repeat the name of it?
Think Again.
Think Again.
By Adam Grant.
Let's end on that note. It
Awesome.
was beautiful.
That was
I felt
lovely.
like I was like completely like zoomed into you, and like your story was just so great. And I hope we can do it again. I mean, there's many different stories that we kind of left where we could go in
Yeah,
deeper.
I know that narcissistic one. I was like, ooh.
You know what? It's a topic, but it's the topic that a lot of people resonate.
You know what's crazy? I took a picture at the moment where I felt unsafe. Like he literally grabbed my shirt and ripped it. And I took a picture, and it was that moment where I was like, I'm going to look back on this. It was like Oprah, you know, when they put in that that picture up on the screen. Yeah, that was a moment. So I was just like, who am I? Like, who am I?
I have a crazy story that's very long, and I don't know if it should be on the camera, but it was like I was walking and I was like, I don't understand, what am I doing? Like, it's almost like I'm mesmerized by someone that I don't want, but I'm following, but I'm not, I don't. And I was like, oh my God. And after a while I was like, I need to get out. And it's funny, like it's not like, oh, I want to get out and I'm getting out. You figure out that you want to get out, and then it takes you time to plan how you're going to get actually out of it.
You wait for the crossroad, and then you miss it, and then you have to wait for the next one. It's insane. And it happens to a lot of strong women.
Oh my God, I love, you know, what was her last name? Dr. Sarah.
Oh, yes. Dr. Sarah.
She just wrote a book about narcissism as well, a narcissistic kind of people.
Sarah Aldamani.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, I forgot her last name.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about,
Yeah, and she just wrote a book about it, and I was like, oh, there's so many women that I have gone through, and not just women, men as well, but I think men just don't put labels on because they don't know that much. Anyways. Let's do it. Let's talk about that next time.
All right. Gosh, you go deep.
Thanks,
Paula.
Thank you.